Hi, it's Will from StormTheCastle.com, and here on YouTube you know me as Epic Fantasy, and this is my latest tutorial. This is how to make a Star Wars light dagger. It's a fun little project. All you need is a sheet of foam board and paint and rubber bands, and you don't need a whole lot of stuff for this. But the nice thing I like about it is it actually kind of works. Watch, I'll show you. And what you do is you operate this with your hand. So what happens is you squeeze it to hold it in, and then you release it to open it. And I love the slow open because that's the kind of thing a lightsaber does, you know, the slow open. So you release it and let it slow open. Isn't that fun? So and then we built this in a hexagonal shape so it can be squeezed and then released. So you can release it fast if you want, or you can release it slow. See that? Dioramas, origami, catapults, and treasure stays, telescopes, terrariums, bonsai trees, and paper games, swords and shields, and real blacksmithing, rattle rockets, animation. I teach the art of real creation. StormTheCastle.com. Let's make something. Okay, let's start making this light dagger. Draw yourself out a rectangle on foam board that is 10 inches by 6 inches. I also have this in the template, but you can just draw one out. It's a little bit easier than tracing one. And then separate it into 6 1-inch segments like this. So along the 10-inch length, you separate it into even 1-inch segments. So you have 6. That's how we're going to form a hexagonal tube. And cut it out. Cut all the way around the edge of it. There you go. Now for these 5 lines that make up the 6 sides, cut through the top layer of paper. Don't cut all the way through the foam board. And hey, a lot of people always ask me about foam board. You can get it on Amazon.com. I do have links in the web tutorial. You can also get it at Walmart. You can get it at CVS, and drugstores, office supply stores. So now that you've cut through the top layer of paper, see we didn't cut all the way through? Now you can snap those and fold it into a hexagonal tube. See that? Very nice. So do your best to try to make this nice and neat. Measure your lines 1 inch, cut it nice and straight, and you'll have a really nicely shaped tube like this. It makes it so much easier. See, and you can see you can squeeze it, and that's how we're going to make the blade go in and go out. So put it together like this, and then put a couple of pieces of tape on it to hold it. Trying to maintain your nice 6-sided shape like this. So squeeze it a little bit, get it to a good shape. It makes a difference. You want it nice and uniform. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but get it close. And then use some kind of glue. If you have a hot glue gun, that's the best. And glue it on that seam. So yeah, so take your shape like this and put it on your foam board and trace it. Now I didn't put these parts in the template because I figured your tube might be a little distorted. You'll have to custom make your end caps. But let's do the bottom end cap first here. So you trace it and then you cut it out. And then glue it onto the bottom of your light dagger. Looks good. So now do the top. Once you have that one glued, now measure the top one and cut it out. Now let's make the dagger. Cut yourself out a piece of foam board that is 10 inches by 2 inches. and try to fit it inside. And it's probably going to stick a little bit. That's okay. Use some sandpaper to bevel off the sharp edges on it. So what you're doing here is we're going to custom fit it. So a little bit of sanding on all 4 of those sharp edges, and then try it and see if it fits. See if it slides in and out nice and smoothly. You don't want it to stick or to be hard. You want it to slide very easily in and out. And you can sand it down a little bit. Sand off those pointy corners on the Dagger. But see how this is? See how you can see sanding the edges would help? Because the inside shape of the tube is now angular. So once you've got it like that, you'll be able to test it like this. Just a little squeeze of your fingers and it'll slide right out. Little squeeze of your fingers, it'll slide right out. See that? Good control. So now we're going to make a little stop to glue onto the bottom of that blade. Something like this. And the important thing here is it's not as wide as the Dagger, because you don't want it. You don't want this to touch the inside of anywhere on the inside of the lightsaber. And then glue it onto the bottom edge like this. See how there's room on the left and the right? That's good. And once that glue is dried, put a couple of slots in it, one on each side of the blade. That's for the rubber bands. And then feed a rubber band through each one of those slots and tie it in a knot. See, that thing is like a mount and a stop. And with the rubber band on it and everything, it never touches anything on the inside of the lightsaber, which is good because it would rub and maybe get stuck. So once you got it tied in the knot, put a little glue on it so it holds. You don't want it coming undone with use. And I've used mine quite a few times and it's still working pretty good. Because you glue it together, you'd have to take it apart. You want that to be nice and tight. So one on each side and then try it. So yeah, I'm holding the rubber bands with my fingers. You see my thumb there on the green rubber band? Give it a try and adjust that rubber band, those rubber bands. Pull them a little tighter, let them a little looser. But next, let's make the top piece, the top cap. So you put it on, draw a line where your blade is, like that, and then cut that in half. There you go. So now I've taped my rubber bands, and give it a try. I've used some tape to tape my rubber bands on there to see if I like it and see if it works well. This way, with using tape, you can adjust it a little bit. You know, tighten the rubber bands or loosen them. I like it. And once I was happy with all of that, then I went on and glued everything. I used hot glue to glue down the top pieces and to glue down the rubber bands. So now let's do all the ornaments on the lightsaber, light dagger, excuse me. I have a sheet with them all. You trace those on the foam board. You see there I have 6 of them already cut. Those go on the top, and now I'm cutting the 6 that go on the bottom. So you trace them all onto your foam board and cut them out. All of these go along the bottom. And you know, these are my patterns, but maybe you want to do your own patterns on your light dagger. You know, make up some other stuff. Have some fun with it, put some screening on it or something, and different patterns and designs, and some wires or something. It'd be fun. Get creative with this. But I put them on the bottom, and I put these all along the top. And these were just kind of out of my imagination when I thought it looked kind of nice. And that's it. Once that glue dries, you can trim the rubber bands. And an important thing is that these pieces along the top also are another layer of glue holding the rubber band so they don't escape, so they don't come loose. And don't forget the button. That's it, it's built. Let's paint it. We use our typical technique. Paint the whole thing black, not the blade. Let's just paint the actual handheld part of it. Looks good. And then we use our silver to dry brush on it. And dry brushing is where you get silver on your brush and then dab most of it off. And now you can lightly wipe over your object to paint it. And so only some of the paint is placed, a little at a time. See? It's a little heavy, but I wanted it to be heavy. So do that on the whole thing. And I actually, and then paint the button. And to paint the button the same color as the blade you're going to paint. Whatever color you're going to paint the blade, paint the button that color. I think that looks kind of neat. So now the blade, how do we do this? This is interesting, but put a layer of tape, clear tape on both sides. I use packing tape. You can also use cellophane tape. And there's a couple of good reasons for this. First off, it'll make it kind of shiny. Secondly, if you were to paint straight on the foam board, the wetness will warp it. And if it warps, it might not work anymore. So we don't want to warp it. When you put tape on it like this, the foam board doesn't get wet and it won't warp. So it'll still be nice and straight and it'll operate cleanly and smoothly in the handle unit. So trim the end to any shape you like. I considered a point, but I went with this kind of like round nub end. And now in fast speed, I'm going to show you how to paint this thing. I use 2 shades of the same color. A light, in my case, I'm using a light and a dark blue, and then white. If you were doing red, use a light and a dark red. So put a dark squiggly line down the middle. Put some dark squiggly lines along the edge of the dark paint, and then shift to the lighter shade of blue. Fill in the middle, and then start adding your white, and add in a bunch of squiggles like this, like lightning bolts, kind of like lightning bolts in the middle. I'll show you of different colors, of the different shades. There you go, right there, and that's about it. Fun. That was at 500 speed. Took me about 5 minutes to do this, but here's the white. See the squiggles? So you've got that main column in the middle, a little bit on the edge, and then a definite lighter between, and to fill it all in. Fun project. If you make it, make sure you send me a picture. I will send you a certificate of contribution. Of course, it's a slow open, which I like the best. Oh, and don't forget about the edge. Thanks for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're a subscriber, thanks for subscribing to my channel. If you're not a subscriber, hit that button. I always have lots of fun and interesting and very creative projects. I do 2 new ones every week. As an example, here's a couple more videos you might want to watch.